Gaudi architecture, which is a processor for training. It is from Intel's Habana Labs. So here, these are some of the acronyms we use. So one point you have to observe is that the needs of training and inference, they are different. And that's why many processor designers or accelerator designers, they have been offering distinct processors for inference and training. Some of them, suppose they will say, okay, we will design only for inference. Some of them will design for both, right? Because the characteristics are different. For example, NVIDIA has been offering distinct Tesla products for training and inference. For example, Volta 100 for training and T4 for inference. Similarly, Google, V1, version 1 and version 4i. So they have this version 4i, which is for inference only, version 2 and 3 for inference and training, and dual core V4 for training. Actually, with this V2, V3, they're primarily for training. You can always use something which is designed for training. You can always use this for inference, but it will just have higher power consumption. And there is a dual core version of V4i, which is used for training. Similarly, Nirvana, they had this neural network processor NNP. They had two models, one for inference, one for training. There is a company called Wave Computing. We are not discussing their architecture. They developed a dual purpose architecture to address both areas. But later on, they realized, okay, we should have dedicated processor for each. Similarly, the reason I'm mentioning is that because we have already discussed Goya architecture, which was for inference. Now we are discussing Gaudi architecture, which is for training. So this is the architecture of Gaudi. Now here, this was for, remember, this is Goya, which was for inference. Okay, I'm just mentioning it here for sake of comparison. So here it has TPC, it has DDR4 memory, right? It has GAN engine, TPC, shared memory, and DMA. It has PCI Express so that it can connect to the host. Now here it is Gaudi, which is for training. So please remember, this is the difference. Now, first of all, there are some similarities. Right here we have, it has GAN engine, it has TPC, it has shared memory, it has DMA, it has PCI Express, and it has, now this is different, this is not there. And instead of DDR4, now it has HBM. Okay, so we already made this point that DDR4 is not good because it has poor bandwidth. What was the bandwidth in Goya? What was the bandwidth of DDR4 in Goya? Anyone remembers? You can open the
gigabytes per second.
Sorry?
40 gigabytes per second.
Yeah, you're right, 40. So here it is now 1 terabytes per second. That is very high, right? So you 40 versus almost 1000. Okay. So here now it also has TPC, GAN, and DMA. But one thing you have to remember is that although this is also called TPC, but they are advanced TPC. Name is same, but it's like more advanced features, right? TPC, which is here, it has more advanced features than what Goya has. That's why it is called version 2.0. Okay, now it has one engine for GAM operation. It can do tensor addressing. Any address set, okay. It has latency hiding capability similar to Goya architecture. It has X16 generation 4 PCI Express bus. Now it has 4 HBMs, right? It can go up to 32 gigabyte capacity and a bandwidth of 1 terabyte per second. Now it has mixed precision data types. So here, in the previous case, this was not there, right? In the Goya, if you remember, in Goya, most importantly, BF16 was missing, right? So in Goya, we had FP32, then 3 integers and 3 unsigned integers. Here, we have 3 integers, 3 unsigned integers. We did not have this part. So that BF16 is additional support that Gaudi provides, which Goya does not provide. Okay. Now it can do it has dedicated hardware and TPC. So this TPC is like a custom accelerator which can also do different activation functions. Now this is separate. This is very unique, which we have not discussed till now. Ethernet connectivity. So I will discuss about it briefly. Actually, there are some lot of details here. I will not go through all of them. But why they have integrated this, why it is required only in the training processor, why not in inference processor, I will discuss that point. But most of the other points are simple and relatively straightforward to understand. Some of them are just directly same as Goya. First of all, heterogeneous computing approach, that means it has GAN engine, TPC engine, DMA, it has HBM. And it has mixed precision data type, except that an additional data type is also supported. This is the architecture. It has more powerful engines, although the name is same, but functionality is not same. Here they are more advanced functionality. Now what they are, they have not revealed, so I can't discuss it. They just mentioned that it has more advanced features. What are those advanced features? They have not revealed, so I can't comment on that. It also supports bfloat 16, which was not supported there. Now here it has 32 GB on package HBM2 memory. Previously it was DDR4. Okay, most significant is the networking capability. Okay, I'll need to close the fan. Okay, here it has, if you see, in inference, we have workload is, our workload is small, right? And because Goya also has DRAM, so it's not that it has to have many chips. Using DRAM, it can also get a higher amount of memory capacity. So that's why in inference, we don't need like very high amount of computational power. But in training, we need high amount of computational power. Okay, so what we do, we have to connect multiple Gaudi chips to make a cluster. Okay, to make a cluster. So that's why it has networking capability. It needs to have networking capabilities. For example, if you see, I think here we have DGX too, right? I think in another IIT, I know they also have DGX. So the DGX has 8 P100 GPUs, Pascal 100 GPUs. Or here, I think we have a single supercomputer with 8 V100 GPUs. So see, you may think one GPU is sufficient, but no. There are many training, workloads which need many days. So that's why you need to have multiple GPUs so that you can train faster. So similarly here, whenever you come to training, you need to have a lot of compute power. So here you need a lot of, that's why you need good networking capability, because you have different Gaudi chips, you need to connect them. So each Gaudi has 10 ports of Ethernet that supports RDMA over converged Ethernet. So this is a specific protocol, and it has very high bandwidth over Ethernet. So the unique thing about Gaudi is that this is the only processor that incorporates RDMA directly onto the package. Okay, and if you multiply this 10 with 100, you get 1 terabit per second of connectivity to each processor. Now, what this RDMA is, that I'm not going to discuss a lot. You can just think it as a Ethernet protocol. So here, because it has RDMA directly onto the package, right? Here, this RDMA is directly in the package itself. That's why you get very high bandwidth. So it allows you to scale effectively within node and across the node. Okay. So here, for inter-processor communication, Gaudi uses standard Ethernet. I will discuss one more chip which uses non-standard Ethernet. In fact, if you see Nirvana, I will mention later on. So Nirvana required its own proprietary interconnect. So that becomes costly. See, if you can use commodity or something which is available in the market, that's good. But if you design your own proprietary interconnect, that's very costly. Okay. So here, the chips also integrate RDMA or converged Ethernet ROC directly on die along with the ports. This eliminates both PCI switch and RDMA switch. So here there is no PCI switch, I guess. Okay, here there is PCI switch is there, but this is used for some other purpose. This is for connecting to the host, and this is for connecting to multiple Gaudi chips. This is done per port. Aggregate bandwidth of for Gaudi is 10 times that of NVIDIA V100 without NVIDIA. So you can see when we do the training, we have to transfer the parameters, tensors, and subtensors from one Gaudi chip to another Gaudi chip. Okay, because in training we collect all the gradients, and based on the gradients we find out the new value of the parameters. Right? In training we are learning the parameters, so we have to update their value. So these are the values that we find out. So we need to communicate them from one chip to another. So that's why you can do that over the Ethernet. So, okay, here is the HLS bus system. So just as for GPU, we call it a DGX, right? We have a supercomputer called DGX, which has multiple V100 GPUs in it. Similarly, here we have HLS1 system. So U, what is a U? U is the measure of the height. Actually, a U is almost slightly, I think it is around 1.75 inch. Right? It is around 1.75 inch. So this tells you what is the height of a server. Okay. Now you will see why it is very important. See, it is important because suppose you have a rack, you can only put some limited number of servers there. Because 3U is taken by one of them. Now, how many? See, whenever you all come to on campus, I will show you sometime. I have purchased a 42U rack server. So 42U, and here each server is 3U. So that means I can put 14 such servers maximum there. And of course, out of them, I will need some for storage and networking and so on. So effectively, it will be less than 14. But up to 14 such servers I can put in the same rack. So that U tells you the height of the server. Okay. So for example, I have one server kept in my office that I guess maybe like 2 to 3U. Now each chip, so here now each server has 8 processor chips, right? If you just now I said, right, DGX has 8 GPUs. Similarly, here it has 8 Gaudi processor chips. So each chip provides 3 ports for external communication. So total it has 24 ports. Now DGX1, DGX2 systems have 4 to 8 ports of 100 gigabits per second respectively. So compared to 24, here it is only 4 to 8 ports. Now then you can make a 128 Gaudi processor cluster by using 16 HLS systems, because 16 into 8 is 128. Right? Each HLS has 8 chips, so you have 16 of such. So you can get 128 Gaudi processor using 10 Ethernet switches. And this one I will discuss later. I have not discussed this till now, so you can ignore this part. So this part you can ignore. I have not discussed it till now. There is another presentation where I will discuss it. Here is the HLS1. So here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So first of all, HLS has 8 processor chips. Now, it has all-to-all direct routing. That means any of them can connect to any of them. That is very, very fast interconnect. Okay. Now you see, we said that here it has how many ports? It has 10 ports. Right? Each Gaudi has 10 ports. Fine. So out of those 10 ports, we are using 7 to connect to other 7, right? See, if you, for example, talk about this one. Apart from this, see, we have total of 8. That means apart from this, we have 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 more. So out of the 10 ports that we have, we use 7 to connect to other 7 chips, other 7 Gaudi, which is in the same HLS1. And remaining 3, here you can see the remaining 3 ports. Right? We still have remaining 3. So 3, each of them provides 3 ports. So 3 into 8. So that is 24. Right? So this 24 ports, they are here. Each chip provides 3 ports for external communication and 7 ports for internal communication. That's why HLS1 has 24 ports so that it can connect to other HLS1 systems. So here, see, we have used 16 HLS1 systems. Each HLS will have 24 ports, and that you can use to connect to other HLS1 systems. So is it clear, right? How did we use? See, each Gaudi processor has 10 ports. Out of them, we use 3 for external communication and 7 for internal communication, that is internal to the HLS1. Okay, any questions? Is it clear? See, again, why I'm discussing? Because we are discussing about training. In training, we need a lot of compute power. So we need to have fast compute, and that the bandwidth between those have to be also very, very high. Okay, internally, 7 of the chips links, right? Internally. Now let us talk about internally. We have 7 links. They are used to connect the HL2000 processors. This HL2000 is same as Gaudi. Actually, this is just a name to one another in non-blocking all-to-all fashion. So what is non-blocking? I have not discussed, so you can ignore that part. All-to-all, that you can understand, right? Each processor has 7 links, so it has 7 remaining chips, so it can use one chip to connect to one link to connect to each of the chips. So remaining 3 links are contributed to the server to build out larger clusters. So 24 external ports are there, right? So here we have 3 into 8, 24 external ports. By contrast, GPU accelerated server is limited by single network interface. So none of the Ethernet bandwidth is used for connecting to host servers or flash storage. For that, Habana has provided 4 PCIe interface. So to connect to the host, so see, these 24 ports, they are there to connect to other Habana chips or other HLS ones. And for connect to the host or to the storage, it has PCI Express slot. These are used to connect to the host CPU, and these are used to connect to other Gaudi chips or Gaudi processors. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of that? And any questions? Okay. So there is another company which Intel purchased. See, Intel first purchased Nirvana for a lot of money. So, but then Nirvana was developing something. Then they cancelled that Nirvana line. Why? So Nirvana uses model parallelism through a fast, low latency fabric directly on its T refers to training NNP die. But unlike Habana, its fabric was not based on industry standard Ethernet. It used its own proprietary, technology for interconnect. And its fabric does not support ROC. Okay. Whereas if you see Gaudi, it has ROC on the chip itself. That's why it offers 8 very fast interconnect ports, so that you don't have to use a top of the rack switch and NIC switch, NIC card. Okay. So actually, in fact, I purchased one NIC card for our servers. So it cost a lot of money, maybe around say $1,000 or so. So here, but it says it has already ROC on the chip, so you don't have to have these additional switches. So RDMA simplifies programmers' challenge of accessing shared memory across a large fabric and improves performance compared to using software to share memory. Okay, so that means your suppose you purchase a CPU, this itself has the networking ports for connecting this to other processors or other servers. You don't have to have one more network interface card. Okay. And one more thing, I'll just come to this one. I think there's one more line. Oh, yeah, here. Yeah. In fact, if you see, NVIDIA acquired Mellanox. You know, as you know, NVIDIA is a very big player because GPUs are very popular. So NVIDIA has purchased Mellanox company, Ethernet company. So why? Because Mellanox is a leader in networking, like standard Ethernet. So NVIDIA is also realizing how Ethernet is important, right? See, the point I'm trying to make is GPU is powerful for compute, but if you have a poor bandwidth, your compute power remains unutilized. So in this presentation, today's presentation, we are discussing a lot about networking also, not just about compute, but networking also, because when you have to connect or make a design a supercomputer, you have to think about how much bandwidth you will get between the processors. Okay, let us go back. So here we have discussed till this slide. Now let us say Habana versus Nirvana. So Habana has a converged architecture for inference and training. What does it mean, converge? Converge means that Goya and Gaudi, they have a lot of similarity. That is the meaning of converge. It's not that they are very, very different. Goya and Gaudi, they are not very, very different. Mostly they are similar, right? You agree with that? Let us go back and see. Let us see whether we agree or not. That's why I had discussed, this is the Goya. Here we have 8 TPC GAN shared memory DMA. And here also we have 8 TPC GAN shared memory DMA. So there are a lot of similarity. Main dissimilarities are also there, for example, this RDMA and HBM. But at least in terms of compute, there are a lot of similarities. Maybe you have more powerful compute unit, but basic idea is same. That is the meaning of converged architecture. Whereas in Nirvana, when they designed NMP-T and NMP-I chips, they did not have this feature. Each chip was separately designed and compatibility was not a design factor. That means there was a separate team, one of them designing inference, one of them designing training. So that's why software design became an issue. Right? See, if you see, suppose you train some model on GPU, and now you have to run it on, suppose, Raspberry Pi. Now, on GPU, you were using CUDA libraries. On Raspberry Pi, you have to use OpenCL library. So it will be a lot of problems. Try doing something like that. You will face all the software compatibility issues. So instead of Raspberry Pi, if you are to train on GPU and test on GPU, that's great, right? Because both the GPU support CUDA, so your software challenges are not there. Similarly, here those challenges were there. The training processor uses some other hardware, some other software, and inference processor has some other hardware, some other software. They are totally different architecture. So if you train on Nirvana training processor, and do inference on inference processor, you have to do a lot of problem, right? You have to do a lot of juggling or recompilation or compatibility or so on issues. So this complicates the task of building and optimizing software that can run on either of the chips. So that means when you have such a difficult hardware, then software design becomes a very big issue. But if you have a converged architecture, that means almost similar architecture for inference and training, then your software design becomes much, much simpler. Okay, is it clear? I hope you got the idea. So I'm trying to discuss what are the principles of designing accelerator. What are the points you should keep in mind? You should have separate accelerators for inference and training, but it is good if their architectures are not too much different. The core idea should be same. Okay, core idea should be same. And another thing was that NMP training chip was developed by TSMC and NMP-I chip was developed by Intel. That's why they have their own libraries for designing them. So again, that means even from hardware perspective, they have a lot of differences. Right? So this is not a good idea. So, okay. So now let us see some of the results. Okay. Gaudi is present in Amazon EC2 instances for machine learning workload. That means you can, if you want, you can use Gaudi, purchase it, and they have shown that it has 40% better price performance than best performing GPU instances. So anyway, see, GPUs for graphics, GPUs for general purpose, and Gaudi is a custom accelerator. So 40% is a maybe only small improvement. Ideally, they should have got much more than 40%. Right? Because GPUs are like somewhat more general purpose, whereas Gaudi is very specific just for deep learning. So a deep learning accelerator should have got more speed up, but they are reporting 40%, which is okay, good. And here is another result. So here, this is for training. In the Goya, I showed the result like 15,000 and so on. That was for inference. Right? Remember, that was for inference. Here it is for training. That means if you train ResNet 50, how many of them can you train in a single second? So here, with a batch size of 64, you can train this many number of images. Whereas with GPU, you can only train this many images. Fine. So please don't get confused. In Goya, we showed inference results. Here we are showing training results. Okay, here is another good point. So we have discussed a lot about bandwidth and networking. So what are the advantages of that? So for many of the accelerators, when you go beyond 8 or 16 accelerators, you don't get linear performance. Your performance flattens. Okay, that means, if you remember my example of weak scaling and strong scaling that we discussed in tutorial, right? We saw that after some number of processors, you don't get much speed up. Because this communication challenges become high. This communication takes a lot of latency. Okay, whereas they have shown that when you use 650 processors, this Gaudi chip, this is just a model name. This, as I said, this HL2000 is just a model name. It has 3.8 times higher throughput than Volta 100. Yeah, 3.8 times higher. So here, this scaling is quite linear, if you see. Okay, this is somewhat more linear. Whereas here with Volta 100, as I said, when you increase the number of processors, you don't get much speed up. It's like flat. After that, you don't get much speed up. Whereas for Gaudi, because they have invested so much in this, having this Ethernet port and so on, that's why they are able to get much better scaling. And right, for training, we need to have very, very large supercomputers. So here you can get that quite easily because the performance is good. The more you add, more you are able to get good performance. So what is the advantage of Ethernet compared to very exotic links like NVLink or OpenCAPI? Ethernet enables Gaudi to be used in existing data centers. That means you don't need to have an additional or very, very costly interconnect. Okay, and you can continue to use standard Ethernet switches available from many network providers. You see, anything commodity is also available by many designers. Just like we discussed Android versus iOS. Android is open source, whereas iOS is only by Apple. So for Android, you can get much more support. So similarly here, standard Ethernet means it is available or it is designed by many companies. So it will be cheaper. Those switches will be cheaper. Whereas if you design your own custom interconnect, you have to design it, verify it, make sure everything works properly, and keep on updating it. That becomes very, very costly over here. So any questions here?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you please